can share.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think Jamar hit it on the head. It's going to be great to watch the vets go at each other and then the young guns play. I think you have the best matchups that you can for the division finals, right? Like you couldn't handpick better teams to be playing.
Hey guys, it's Brad Loewen, president and owner of trainingdivision.com. We provide fire certification for students across Canada, the US, and the world. And I had the pleasure this morning of talking with Jamar Wall, who's a defensive back for the Calgary Stampeders, as well as Mike Reilly, quarterback for the BC Lions, and about our relationship with the CFLPA, their predictions for tomorrow's NFL games, and really just kind of how they started on their firefighting journey with Training Division and their thoughts on that. So enjoy.
What's up, Jamar?
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, man. This is like the most chill setting I think that we've ever had with each other. Usually it's a little overly competitive and people watching and screaming. So
Exactly.
I am glad you're good enough friends to at least join in a virtual call. That's
course.
Cool.
The brotherhood exists outside of the line. Once we step across them, then it's kind of a free for all. But when we're out in the field, it's always pretty good usually. So
absolutely, that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to start with specifically thanking the CFL. We have a great relationship with the CFLPA, and of course, last year with no season, our numbers went through the roof with guys entering the program, obviously, because of two reasons. One, they have more time, and two, they start thinking a little bit more about what the future holds, right, beyond football. So it kind of
that's kind of been the theme of this year usually during the offseason, Jamar knows as well as I do, you get done playing, you take a month to have holidays and recuperate and recover your body and all of that. And then you're back into training. Like, people think, that our job is super easy because we work 6 months out of the year, but that's just not the case. We're working 12 months out of the year. Like I said, we maybe take a couple weeks off for the holidays, but then it's right back into training mode, because if you're not doing that, you're falling behind. Everybody else is doing it. So with COVID, it's given guys, it's forced guys, myself included, to have more free time where you're sitting there going, okay, well, now I have more time to sit there and think about what I'm going to do in the future, but also I have more time to prepare and get into programs and things like that. So it's that's been one of the few silver linings, I guess, of not having a season. And I think that most of our CFLPA contingent has gone, in that mindset.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing you said there, was it forced you. Like you said, most guys have that routine. We're used to taking that month or so off and then getting back into training, knowing what's going to come. But when you don't know if football is going to come back, it's just like, holy crap, what do we have to do? It's a have to do type of thing. And I was already in the program, but it just forced me to okay, I need to speed this thing up, get things done, get those ducks in a row. And a lot of other guys, like I know we've had 4 guys in Calgary that have signed up for this program alone, so it was cool. It's different, but like you said, it forces you to make time to figure out those things, especially with all the time that you have.
Right.
A question I have for you, Jamar, is you signed up in 2019, so pre-COVID, anything, really, we didn't even know it was coming. So obviously you didn't know you weren't going to have a season in 20, but how did the flexibility of an online theory program with a 2-week camp, how was that attractive to you when you thought you were going to have a season?
It was great because you could do it in between. As myself and Mike as well, we both have kids, so those times were precious, so I was getting up I was kind of taking my time before, and I was like, okay, I really need to get this thing done. And I was getting up at 5 in the morning, putting in a couple hours of study, do before practice, come home, do the dad thing and do all that, and just kind of making that a routine. And then when COVID hit, it was like, well, crap, now I don't have to worry about practice. Like, let's get this done, and so that's just kind of what I did with it, took advantage of the time and was able to book that boot camp also right away. And I could have done it right away, but I actually decided to wait because I'm from Texas and I was going to go there for the holidays anyway. So I just kind of planned it accordingly. But if didn't have that and was still staying in Calgary this entire time, I could have been done with this thing within a couple months. I know Corey Greenwood, he actually finished it in like 4 months. It was in the same, basically the same class we were. But no, it was a yeah, like I said, just it forced you. Like I say, pre-COVID, I was already doing it, but with COVID, like I said, it forced you to get things done.
Awesome. I have a question for Mike, but before I ask it, just for anyone who does watch this, yes, we are open. Yes, Jamar did come to boot camp from Calgary. So yes, we have Canadians. Just for the record, last year, in March and April, we were unsure of what COVID was going to mean for us, but we were, I don't want to say we were built for this, but we've been doing it online for 17 years. And that wasn't always a popular option in the fire industry, but certainly it's come around and has its merits. And now we're seeing students on with departments, and not only on with departments, but they're training chiefs and captains and lieutenants. And so they're well aware of who we are and what we do. And last year was very good. We had 240 students finish in Texas last year from Canada. And we had about 230 finish through our partnership with a college in British Columbia. So not too far from where Mike will be playing, hopefully this season, right?
Yeah.
So
I actually had 6 or 7 Canadians in my class, from a couple from BC, a couple from Ottawa, and maybe a few in Ontario. Like there were quite a few. So you can get down.
Still our most common question. Are we open? Answer is yes. Can we go from Canada to Texas? The answer is yes. Essential services don't stop. We still need firefighters and first responders, and we're part of that food chain. And our departments that hire our students are very happy that we've kept going and have a supply for them this year, because 21 is going to be a busy year for hiring in the fire departments. So
hopefully. Yeah.
My question for Mike was, yesterday we were talking a little bit when you registered, kind of why firefighting, why that career and how that compares to football in your mind, just as you're starting out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I'm very fired up about, and no pun intended, but it's one of those things where, as we've kind of been discussing, when you're in the thick of it and you're playing, and you have your off season that you're training and you're very scheduled and regimented, you don't really take the time to think, that you have to move on and have another career at some point. I've been blessed, as has Jamar, to have long careers to this point, and we all think that we're Superman and that we're going to play forever. But we all know in the back of our mind that's not true, and that at some point we have to move on and do something else. And you try to prolong that as long as you can. And I think that we both have quite a long period of time left in our football careers, but this pandemic has forced you to kind of grapple with that reality that, it is going to end at some point. And sometimes it gets taken away with things that are out of your control, be it injuries or a worldwide pandemic or anything else. There's going to come a time where you can't play the game anymore. So then you start to think about, what that means for you and what that future looks like. And that can be a scary and daunting situation, because for a lot of us, for myself, I've been playing since I was 6 years old. So going on almost 30 years, I've been playing football, and that's just, become part of, my entire being is the game of football. So to know that that's going to end at some point, and there's still so much life left to live and still have to provide for your family and all of that, you start to think like, man, that's really going to suck to be done playing football, because there's so many parts of football. At first, you think that you can never get that feeling or achieve that situation ever again in your life. And then you start to think, well, what is it that I love so much about football? Obviously the fans. I love playing in front of the fans. I love playing in front of, 30, 40,000 people, having millions of people watching on TV and things like that. And throwing a touchdown pass and having the crowd erupt, or being in an opposing team stadium and having them just go silent when you do. There's nothing better, right? Like, that's great. I love all of those things. But when you retire, I believe, having spoken with so many players that I played with in the past, they all come down to the same exact thing. The thing that they miss the most, without question, is the locker room, the brotherhood that they have in the locker room, and the things that they show up to work every single day, right? We go to training camp, and training camp is miserable, and everybody hates training camp, but you also love training camp because you're there with your brothers, and you're there fighting early morning hours when everybody's tired and beat up and exhausted and just their bodies are physically spent, and you still got to put in a full day of work, right? And then you wake up the next day and it's the same thing. And it's only like, wow, the third day, like a month of this, right? And it's just Groundhog Day. But you're sitting in the cafeteria and you're sitting across the table from a guy that you know is also putting in the work, and you're going through hell together. And it just builds this unbreakable bond. And it's a bond that continues throughout the entire season, and for guys that you've played multiple seasons with for years. And these are lasting friendships that'll be there forever. And they truly become your second family, right? And so when I'm kind of looking at what I want to do in the future, and I looked at a couple of different things, and I started really looking into firefighting, it became clear that this was kind of that same scenario, right? Like it's a different occupation. Instead of going and throwing a football, you're trying to either put out fires or help people in medical situations or things like that. But the bond with your fellow firefighter is very similar to that which you get in a locker room. And that's something that really can't be replaced, right? In 99% of jobs, you don't get that opportunity to really bond with people. And it's the trying times and the training that you have to go through, and the exhaustion, all of those things that build that type of bond. So when I looked at that, it just really became clear to me, like, man, this is such a great transition, because I'm going to be able to experience what it is that I love the most about playing football, just in a different way.
Awesome. I'm not going to compare firefighting to football, but trust me, you're going to put in more time in the fire station than you will at home. And you're going to put your life on the line with these brothers and sisters. And that doesn't end with a whistle, and that doesn't end at the end of a game. So yeah, welcome to, we say welcome to the brotherhood, even for our sisters. They get it. It's not a gender term. It is a firefighting term. And yeah, it's awesome. So yesterday when we signed you up, Mike, I said, this is going to change the trajectory of your life. Are you ready for that? And you were all in. You were ready to get started. And like you said, hopefully you have lots of football left. Yeah, this is the start. You'll always remember this year as starting your firefighting career too, in a different family. So
yeah, there's no question. It's turned a very scary thing to think about, which is football ending, into something that you go, well, it's just going to be turning the page to the next chapter, right? And again, hopefully that doesn't happen for a long time, but it is I think as an athlete that's been playing for a very long time, it's a comforting feeling to know that there's something afterwards that you're equally as excited about and passionate about.
Awesome. So you had mentioned the mentality of football and firefighting. My question for Jamar is, you actually went to boot camp now, so you've been surrounded by those other guys from many different career paths and occupations. I'm not sure if there were any other CFL guys in your camp, but I'm not sure that there were. But you've been going to preseason camps for a long time. For a long time. And you just finished your training division boot camp down in Texas, I believe just in fall. So how, if any, does that compare at all? Being around those guys.
Yeah, basically what Mike said, hit the nail on the head. Like the brotherhood, everything about it. Like the 2-week boot camp, just add 2 more weeks of that, and that's football training camp. You're literally bumped up with the same group of. We had one lady in our class, but it was 12 of us. It was a smaller class, but we're all bunked up in the same place. We ate there, we trained there, we did that. You got up early, 6 o'clock mornings. You did it all over again for 2 weeks. That's football training camp, basically, in a nutshell. But it was great because of, like Mike said, it's the transition. So for me to be able to see football and now going to something else that is very equivalent to it in many ways. I was talking to Mike about this the other day before he called you to sign up. And from the chemistry that you have to create with one another, the hours that you spend in with one another, the predictability as a quarterback and receiver, you got to know what's going to happen. You check and you see these covers. Hey, if we make this eye contact, this hot route is coming. DBs working with the linebackers. Hey, this is coming. Be prepared for it. Same with the firefighting, with our fire crew and our engine crews. Hey, this is what's happening. Look at this fire. Read this smoke pattern, these layers. So many different things that you have to do and be able to understand and work together. As I was explaining to Mike as well, difference between it's a game of inches. For football, same thing with firefighting. Difference is football game, you mess up a little bit, you lose a game versus there, you could possibly lose your life, you know? So many similarities. It was great. I became good friends with a lot of those people, the people there. We were doing the training, a lot of different walks of life. Some were actually already on the fire crew in Texas. Some were paramedics. A few were like me who were just kind of in it. But we all had to come together at that for those 2 weeks and work together and learn something new that most of us did not know. And it was great. I enjoyed every bit of it. Luckily, I went down there at a great time to where it wasn't hot, so I didn't die. You know,
Well,
I
and you're
kind of
from
did it
Texas.
strategically. I
You're a
did that strategically
Texas
as well.
guy.
Yeah. Oh no, it's different when you have on all that gear, your PPE and the SCBA. Oh, it
Let
was
me
a
ask,
different game.
how did you like consumption drill?
I was in pretty good shape then. I finished the drill with like right at 1800 psi, I think.
You're golden.
So I was
So this
okay.
is like one of those reverse things. Like, yeah, you use more, you're doing worse, right? It's like golf, like a low
Right.
score.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You want to use as little
Yeah.
as possible. Every extra
Mhm.
minute of air you have, that could save your life someday. So you want to
Yeah.
use as little as you can, but still get the job done. But
Exactly.
awesome. Awesome. That's awesome, guys. You don't need to answer this. This is rhetorical. But I asked Mike if he's ever been picked off by you, Jamar. Uh, a little Google research, which I'll let people do on their own. We'll bring up a September 5th game back in 2016, but I'll leave it at that.
Unless you have video evidence, it didn't happen. I mean, unless you add up short memory for a quarterback, I don't believe it.
Very good. So tomorrow are some big games in the NFL, and I know you guys are both CFL players, and that's awesome. I know a lot of the NFL guys follow some CFL, and especially keep up with guys that they've made contact with, and of course the CFL guys keep up with the NFL. So I know you guys both played a bit in the NFL, and we're on NFL teams. So I just want to hear your thoughts on tomorrow's game, and I'm going to start with Jamar, and we're going to end with Mike, and we'll go from there. We'll go back and forth a bit.
All right. I like traditions. Yeah, like Mike said, no evidence because he can come back with a couple other years. So we'll just leave that there. We'll leave that chess match there. Wait and see. But in terms of the games tomorrow, they're gonna be some exciting games. You know, you have what is it? Green Bay and the Bucks with two of some of the best quarterbacks, older guys, and then you have Buffalo and Kansas City, two of your best younger quarterbacks. You know, it's gonna be interesting. Like you say, you have the gurus between Tom and Aaron, and then you have, like I say, some of the young dynamics with Allen and Mahomes. You know, I see that he's clear to play and things like that. So I'm excited for it. I've been kind of off my football game, my football scheme that I'm used to doing, and all those things. But it's going to be some exciting games for sure. I think it's going to be whose defense shows up. You know, because I feel like, especially in the Buffalo, Kansas City, because those quarterbacks are very dynamic.
Of course, you're going to say that. That's your.
Of course, you know we have often. You know, I'm a defense guy, of course. You know what they say: defense wins championships, offense sells tickets.
I thought offense was both. I don't know. I forget how that's.
Mike, obviously you have some connections, some personal connections with some of the games tomorrow, so you can share.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think Jamar hit it on the head. It's going to be great to watch the vets go at each other and then the young guns play. You know, I think you have the best matchups that you can for the division finals, right? Like you couldn't handpick better teams to be playing. It's great to see Buffalo, you know, have gone this far. They're going to be good for quite a long time, I believe. You know, I think I was telling you yesterday, Brad, that Buffalo historically has been great at getting to the Super Bowl and terrible at trying to win them. So, you know, we'll see. But prior to, as Jamar said, Patrick being cleared to play, I would have said Buffalo probably had the clear advantage, but you know, Patrick he's one of those, you know, generational talents where you can't really bet against him, right? Like he can always make something happen, and they have a very good football team. So that one to me is kind of a coin toss, but I'd have to give the edge a little bit to Kansas City there. In the other game, the game of the Wiley vets, I think Jamar's absolutely right. I think Green Bay had statistically the best offense in the league this year, but these types of championship games in the cold generally come down to the defenses, right? Who can show up. I did spend a little bit of time in Green Bay and got to know Aaron Rodgers quite well. And he follows the CFL. I'll get random text messages from him every once in a while. He's sitting there watching some games, and he knows about our league and follows it quite a bit. And I think he's an awesome dude and obviously a great player. So I always pull for Green Bay. I always pull for Aaron. I see them winning, but it's kind of crazy sometimes to bet against Tom. And I think everybody was betting against Tom earlier in the year, and he just kind of rode the storm like he always does, and ends up one game away from the Super Bowl at current situation. And I know, Brad, being in Florida, you have a dog in the fight. So I think that we have a little bit of a competition going here between Green Bay and Tampa Bay. So, it's the battle of the Bay is a little different, a little hot Bay, a little cold Bay.
Tampa Bay down.
Tampa Bay. There you go.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you guys giving your time today, but more than that, I appreciate you guys entering the fire service and appreciating, the trust you put in trainingdivision.com to get you through your training, and the flexibility that it provides you guys, and all the best this crazy year. I hope we see lots of you guys on TV at least this year, if not in person, and wish you guys a great season. And if there's anything we can ever do from Training Division to you guys or your teams or your families, you're part of the brotherhood now. So just reach out. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it from you too. And you probably won't see it because I told him we'll have to limit it to TV timeouts. But I said I'm going to be quizzing him on the field next year. I'm going to be asking him all sorts of questions. But, once the camera clicks back on, it'll be game face, I guess. So I can't have any more of these. People say, "Oh, how many interceptions?" You can't be adding to that total. That total's got to stay where it's at.
I apologize for bringing that up. So,
I was probably going to have the football sitting behind his head right now, for the screen.
They're not here. They're my parents. They're my parents.
I know you got possession of them somewhere, though.
I do. No, I appreciate you as well, Brad. I really do. For everyone out there, like, the Training Division is a great thing, man. Like, take advantage of this, especially in this time and moment, with everything being so closed down here in Canada, that this is the perfect opportunity to take advantage of that course, especially if it's something that you have been wanting to do. It's well worth it. That's for sure.
Where else can you go head to head with your CFL icons and heroes, right? In the same bunk room doing the same things. So that's all.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.